Developers make games to do things, which seems like the most obvious statement in the world, but there's lots of things that they don't understand are gonna happen anyway. If there's one thing gamers like to do, it's break games and make them do stuff they don't normally do. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 things developers didn't think anyone would try, part 4. At number 10, it's Aorlan Greymane's chest. It's one of those classic tricks I'm kind of shocked I haven't actually talked about at this point. I've mentioned other chests you can find under the world in Bethesda games, like a few in Starfield, but not the most infamous one of them all. See, in Creation Engine games, shopkeepers don't just have everything they sell on their person, as a police officer might say. They actually have all that stuff in a chest in a normally inaccessible location under the world. These are places you were never meant to go, but when there's a will, there's a way, and Skyrim players found a way, and therefore a whole lot of free loot you can get within the first half hour of starting the game. If you don't remember, Aorlan Greymane is the guy at the Skyforge. He's the blacksmith with a whole lot of stuff on hand that you're normally not supposed to be able to get or afford at first. Underneath the forge is, of course, a chest, and getting there is relatively easy. People go through this tedious process of climbing a building and jumping a certain spot, but there's a much easier way to get underneath the world at Whiterun. You just find this particular wall and walk into it. That's all you have to do. And amazingly, this still works in the most modern version of the game. There's a big obvious hole in the world that nobody noticed for years, or somebody noticed and just didn't do anything about, and it's right in the middle of the main city in the game. So you just fall down there, and it's just a long circular walk outside the city to reach the Skyforge Enterprise. There's a few deep holes to avoid, but it's a pretty straightforward trick. The hardest part used to be getting under the world in the first place, but it's actually extremely easy. So really, the whole thing's pretty easy to do. And you can take whatever you want from the chest, no problem, because it's not considered stealing. So just fast travel out of there and you're good to go. It's easy, effective, and best of all, it still works. At number 9, it's Oblivion. Hey, look at that. Bethesda games have wonky stuff in them that you can take advantage of. One of the DLCs that comes packed in with the game is by default now called Frostcrag Spire. It's a wizard tower. It makes for a handy little base. It's got portals that lead all over the place. Lots of easy resources. Also has another useful function. You can reach the developer room from here. Obviously, if you're on PC, this isn't all that useful. You can get in the dev room with a simple console command. But for game console players, too much use of the word console here, but it's not really avoidable either. For game console players, the easiest way is this. So you get every item, weapon, and armor set there. It's for the taking. It's counterintuitive as hell, but believe me, it actually works. What you have to do is climb to the top of the tower, save, and then close the game. Then delete the Wizard Tower DLC from the hard drive and reload the game. When you do, you'll fall through the world and you'll end up in the dev room. Seriously, that's what you do. In most games, they wouldn't let you load the save if the DLC wasn't present, and that would be boring. But thankfully, Bethesda just doesn't care. Possible game-breaking issues? What? There's funny stuff you might be able to do. We don't. We're not going to do different. We're Bethesda. And I'm not being sarcastic. I legitimately do like this aspect of Bethesda games. I like that you can break them a little bit. That doesn't mean I am charmed by a lot of the other issues with them, and I ultimately think if the price of having a Bethesda game that just flat out worked in every way it was supposed to was this, it'd be a tough decision for me. The trick here is their games are open, and you could do that with the Unreal Engine and probably have them work better, is all I'm saying, but that's something that I do like about Bethesda's games. Like, video games are super closed off nowadays, and Bethesda's just like, yeah, here you go, do whatever. So get whatever you want out of the dev room, fast travel out, re-download the DLC, and you're good to go. At number 8 is Cyberpunk 2077, easy money exploits. Back when Cyberpunk first came out, it was obviously a lot sloppier than right now. It's a way better game in 2024, but some of those fun exploits, they're gone. Like the infamous Nicola Blue trick used to be that you could dismantle literally anything in your inventory to get crafting materials, including soda cans, which you could then use to make cheap guns that sold for, well, more than the cost of a soda. So you could pretty much get infinite money. All you have to do was go to a place that had a lot of vending machines like Arasaka Plaza, buy up a ton of soda from the dozens of machines there, dismantle all of it, build a ton of guns, and then sell them. I mean, you could call it cheating. You could call it free money. I like to call it investing. Takes a little scratch up front, but you walk away absolutely filthy rich. The devs did kill this exploit by simply making it so you couldn't break down food and restorative items and generally balance the economy so you didn't feel so obligated to grind to get anywhere. It's better that the exploit is gone, but it's still fun to talk about. And number 7 is Castlevania Symphony of the Night, easy access to the abandoned mine. It's something I know the devs didn't think anybody would try because nobody did until a couple of years ago. It went for more than 20 years and nobody knew about it. And as you'll soon see, there's a good reason for that. So in Symphony of the Night, in the underground cavern, there's this wooden bridge blocking the way down. The only way to get in is hitting a switch that causes a skeleton ape to appear, and you gotta lure him over to the bridge and get him to pull some Donkey Kong antics, throwing a barrel. Hits the bridge and reveals the way forward. The puzzle is simple once you know what to do, but getting the actual ape can take a while. Doesn't necessarily immediately appear, you know. Speedrunners, of course, want everything to happen fast. They want to do it fast. They gotta go fast. That's the point. So they don't want to have to wait for that barrel to get thrown. They want to get through that bridge now. And it just so happens there's a real easy way to do it. All you have to do to remove the bridge is press triangle on the second controller. For some reason, that instantly demolishes it and you can proceed. Apparently, this is a debug tool that the developers left in the game by mistake and nobody noticed it. Not that I blame anyone, the game doesn't use the second controller for anything, so who would assume that pressing a button in one spot in the game on the controller would do anything at all? What makes it tricky is that it doesn't work in any iterations of the game past the PlayStation 1 version. How anyone managed to figure this out, I just don't know. But what really interests me is how many other games have debug codes built into them that we just never noticed. There's got to be more, right? And number 6 is Harvest Moon Back to Nature, the home workout. Credit to this one goes to a comment from 7 Portugal CR7. I'd have never known this if they didn't mention it. So in the Harvest Moon games, you've got limited stamina and you can only do so much in a single day before passing out from exhaustion. But there is a way to get around that limit and swing your tools as much as you want without the fear of falling asleep, so you can grind up your experience and make the rest of the game much faster and easier. All you got to do is stay inside the house after the opening cutscene. Instead of leaving right away like any normal person would do, open up your inventory, equip all your tools, and start swinging until they fully leveled up. Your guy will act tired but never actually passed out, like their stamina is locked at 1. Sure, the second you step outside, your guy will drop dead from exhaustion, but the penalty for collapsing is pretty minor as far as these things go. You just sleep in. Big deal. The trick actually works anytime there's a cutscene, immediately after leaving your house in the morning. It's just that doing it right at the start of the game is the easiest because it's always the same and it gives you the best possible head start. At number 5, there's a severed head exploit, another where some credit is due. Got this one from a YouTube comment by someone called The Sam Lowry, and it's pretty amazing, and I definitely probably wouldn't have mentioned it without their comment. It's one of those things where I'm pretty sure it happened. I can remember it, but I can't actually find any corroborating evidence online, so I'm mostly relying on your comments here, particularly you, The Sam Lowry. I think it's accurate, but I am not an Ultima Online expert, so if anyone has any more information, let me know there in the comments. So Ultima Online was kind of a free-for-all. You couldn't even lock your chests, so one strategy players would use to keep people from pilfering their chests in their houses was to surround them with tables. Other players could open up your chest, but one thing they couldn't do was move around your furniture, so with enough tables surrounding them, nobody could get in your chest. That was the case until somebody realized there was a way to get over those tables, and it was severed heads. See, for whatever reason, severed heads are the only items in the game you could carry that had thickness, so with enough heads you could actually build yourself a makeshift staircase to climb on the tables and access loot that people had locked away. You had to have a lot of heads for this to work, and it would be a tedious process, so you don't want anyone around smacking you with a sword while you're doing it, but it does work. It's nonsense like this that made Ultima Online such a legendary game, might I add. You can't do crap like that in Warcraft. And number 4 is Dragon Age 2, the Infinite Armor exploit. Sometimes when a game is really rushed like Dragon Age 2, even the most seemingly obvious thing might be something the devs didn't think anyone would try. Or maybe they did know about it and didn't take the time, or maybe not even have the time to fix it. I want to give devs the benefit of the doubt with these things, but in this case it's going to have to be that they just didn't know, because it's such a game-breaking exploit that it's really absurdly easy to do. At launch, literally all you had to do to get 100% physical damage resistance was equip a shield, unequip it, and then equip it again. That's it. That's the exploit. Whenever you equip a shield, there's a bug where the armor bonus provided by the shield will never go away, so take it off and put it on again. It'll double your armor bonus. Insert extremely dated winter fresh gum double mint commercial reference. Double your armor, double your fun. I'm old. You can just keep doing that until you're completely invulnerable to all physical damage, and seriously, that's literally all you had to do. It sounds great, but that's not the only thing the glitch would do. You could also clear your progress dead. At the end of Chapter 1, when you're going through the deep roads, if you trigger this exploit, either on purpose or by mistake, the game would freeze up and you couldn't progress. So, in this case, it's a good thing they fixed the glitch. It wasn't just an extremely easy exploit, it also busted the game beyond recognition. Now, this is hardly the only exploit in Dragon Age 2. There are a few in the game that are still there, but this one is so basic and easy to replicate, it's kind of astounding that they didn't catch it and fix it before release. But when you're expected to make a full, and I need to stress, RPG in just 14 to 16 months, a lot of broken stuff is going to slip through the cracks. At number 3 is Metroid Fusion, Look Away. The gold space pirates are some of the most frustrating enemies in Metroid Fusion. They hit like a dump truck, they can only be damaged by missiles, and worst of all, you can only hurt them by hitting them in the back. These stupid things were the bane of my existence when I was younger, and, well, they're real annoying now. I guess that hasn't changed now that I think about it. There is an easy way to deal with them that does not feel intended, though. See, how this game determines if you're hitting them in the back is strange. It figures it out entirely depending on which way Samus and the space pirate are facing. So if it's not facing you, you must be aiming at its back, so it takes damage. But wait, there's another way. If you want to shoot these guys in the face, shoot a missile and turn around before it hits them. The game will see that you're not facing the space pirate, and it will do damage. It doesn't matter that you're not actually hitting them in the back. It thinks that it's not facing you, so you're hitting them in the back. So just fire a missile, turn around, and these things die in seconds. It's such a backwards way to determine which part of the enemy is the back, but I mean, anything that makes these things easier, I'm all for. At number 2 is Resident Evil Code Veronica's Infinite Healing Glitch. Code Veronica, the forgotten Resi. This one actually is one of those how do they miss this ones. In this game, it's absurdly easy to give yourself an infinite healing item that will never run out no matter how many times you use it. And all it takes is a few actions that a lot of players are going to end up doing naturally. The setup is simple. It can be done right from the start of the game. The only tricky part is the positions of each item. And I mean, it does all have to be exact. So the player manual needs to be in slot 1, pistol in slot 2, you want a healing item in slot 3. Now just read the player manual from the files menu, and somehow the healing item will appear in the equip slot. Now just fire a gun a few times and it's permanently stuck up there. And now you can heal yourself whenever you want. That's it. It's done. The game's now a breeze and you got nothing to worry about. Like I said, it's a little specific, but I can imagine somebody doing these inadvertently while playing the game normally. It's also another glitch that's still in the game, and not just locked in the Dreamcast version. It's in the PS2 version as well as beyond. So you're welcome, Resi Code Veronica players. At number 1, the 8F arbitrary code execution glitch in Pokemon. Okay, there's one entry that the developer, this didn't occur to anybody, because wow, it's nuts. It's a sort of glitch you really don't want in a game, especially one on closed hardware, because it can be used not just to break the game, but it can jailbreak the entire console. Done correctly, you can really do some amazing stuff, like manipulate values in completely different games, or even do something crazy like write code into Super Nintendo games. Seriously, that's what this glitch can do. How an arbitrary code execution glitch works is, and I'm really paraphrasing here because this is technical stuff, the faulty code can sometimes make it so the game's program counter, the thing that actually reads the code in the ROM so that the game functions, it'll instead start reading the RAM as if it were ROM code. RAM values by their nature can be manipulated by players as opposed to ROM code, which can't. So if players mess with the RAM, you can do a lot of pretty crazy stuff given the time and effort. Considering it's Pokemon, there are a lot of dedicated fans and enthusiasts interested in seeing what they can do with it. This game's specific version of the arbitrary code execution glitch comes from using the glitched 8F item. The values it's related to are easy to manipulate as far as these things go, and that's what makes the glitch so powerful. It's not the easiest to talk about, but to me this is one of the most fascinating things I've talked about so far, and it's well beyond simple exploits at this point. This point is also all I have for this video. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.